Hey everybody, welcome back. It's day 7 of Hey Nostradamus. Just let you know, today is I'm filming this is actually Friday, March 27th, and the quarter ends today. And so I thought I would tell you to make sure you get your assignments in. But by the time you watch this, unless you watch it tonight, it's going to be uh, past March 27th. But make sure, I know I left you on the discussion thread. You were supposed to check in with some thoughts. Please do that. And then next week on Monday, the 29th, 30th. Two more assignments are going live. 2 assignments for the week. That's all for Hey Nostradamus. I know you got lots of stuff from all your other classes as well, so don't want to be too much of a burden. There's a quiz that you can take. You got 20 minutes to take it, and you can take it anytime you want to, one time. Please, don't look up the answers. Don't help each other. Just take the quiz. It's a quiz, and then there's another assignment to do. Those will go live on Monday. Okay. Um, but today we're going to do back to Jason and day 7. And Jason's going to tell us about, first of all, how he won his apartment. Jason's is a pretty long section because he deals with the past, and he's got 11 years of time to cover since the shooting, and to let us know what's going on. And we really need to know all of this so we know what happened, so we understand next chapters. Um, the information in the next chapter. So say next chapter section. That makes sense. It's been a really, really long day. I've been going since about 8 o'clock this morning, and it's 5:38, and I haven't really stopped. Um, my girls brought me lunch, and I just kept right on working. Been working steadily all day long, trying to get the yearbook out today. Yearbook's due today. Um, Editors working really hard on that. Been a really long week. It's hard here in the middle of this outbreak. So kudos to Lewis for his hard work on that, man. He's trying to get it done. So I've been working all day, all week, but all day for sure today too. All right. So page 65 here in your book. Um, it's I won my apartment. I won my apartment in a poker game from Dennis, a concrete poor who'll spend the rest of his life losing his apartments in poker games. He's that kind of guy. The place is nicer than something I would have found on my own. I even have a balcony the size of a card table, which I've managed to ruin with failed houseplants and empty bottles that will someday enter the downstairs recycling bins. It looks out on the rear of small shops on Marine Drive, and beyond that to English Bay, the Pacific, and the rest of the city across the bay. I checked my messages. The first was from Les reminding me to bring the nail gun for tomorrow's job, which is framing in a towel cabinet for a real estate tycoon's fantasy bathroom. The second message was from Chris, Cheryl's brother, saying that he can't risk leaving the U.S. for tonight's memorial because if they catch him either coming or going across the border, that's the end of his visa, which he needs to design spreadsheets, whatever they are, down in Redwood City, wherever that is. The third was from my mother, saying she didn't think she could handle the memorial. The fourth was her again, saying that she thought she could. The fifth call was a hang-up with 5 seconds of bar noise. The sixth was Nigel, a contractor buddy from a recent project who doesn't yet know I'm a living monkey's paw, asking me if I want to shoot some pool tonight. Soon enough, Nigel will learn about my story, and then he'll go buy a cheapo massacre exploitation paperback in some secondhand bookstore. His behavior around me will change. He'll walk on eggshells, and then he'll want to discuss life after death, crop circles, gun laws, Nostradamus, or stuff along those lines. And then I'll have to drop him as a friend because he'll know way more about me than anyone ought to know. And the imbalance is, as I age, more of a pain than anything else. I don't want or need it. Call 7 is my mother again, asking me to phone her. I do. Mom, Jason, you feeling weird about tonight? Someone has to take care of the twins. I thought maybe I could take the twins off Barb's hands for the evening. Ken's friends have probably sorted that out weeks ago. You know what they're like. I guess so. How about I drive you? Could you? Sure. Okay, back to the shooting. After leaving the cafeteria, I walked out onto the sunlit concrete plaza where I turned around and saw myself reflected in the one remaining unshot window, and I was all one color, purple. Gurneys with their oxygen masks and plasma trees covered the front plaza like blankets on a beach. I saw bandages being applied so quickly they had bits of autumn leaves trapped inside the weave. I remember a sheet being pulled over the face of this girl, Kelly, who was my French class vocabulary partner. She didn't look shot at all, but she was dead. There were seagulls flying above, rare for that altitude, and Well, I've seen all the photos a million times like everyone else, but they just don't capture the way it felt to be there. The sunlight and the redness of the blood, that's always cropped out of magazines. And this bugs me because when you crop the photo, you tell a lie. I was thinking, okay, I guess I should just go home and wash up and get on with things. Up the hill, hundreds of students were being held back by police barricades. When I looked to my left, a medic plunged a syringe like a railway spike into the chest of a friend of mine, Jimmy Harshaw. A few steps away, an attendant running with a plasma tree tripped over a varsity coat soaked in coagulating blood. In my pocket, I felt my car keys and I thought, if I can just find my car, I'll be able to leave here and everything will be just fine. When I walked down to the auxiliary lot where I'd parked that day, nobody stopped me. I'd later learned that I'd accidentally fallen through every crack in the security system, which was for a time interpreted as having sneaked through every crack in the system. Regardless, nobody called my name. And by the way, those grief counselors they talk about on TV, oh, come on. I was headed for my car, but then I saw Cheryl's white Chevette. It looked so warm in the sunlight, and I just wanted to be near it and feel warmth from it, so I went and laid down on the hood. The sun was indeed warm in that feeble October way, and I curled up on the car's hood, leaving red, rusty finger painting swishes, then fell into whatever it is that isn't sleep, but isn't wakefulness either. A hand shook me, and when I opened my eyes, the sun was a bit further to the west. It was two RCMP officers, one with a German Shepherd, and the other with a rifle speaking into a headset. He's alive, not injured, we don't think. Yeah, we'll hold him. I blinked and looked at the men. I was no longer the guy. I was now merely him. I tried lifting my right arm, but the blood had bonded it to the hood. It made a ripping tape sound as I pulled it away. My clothes felt made of plasticine. I asked, "What time is it?" The officers stared at me as if their dog had just spoken to them. "Just after 2 o'clock," one of them said. I didn't know what to say or ask. What was the grand total? I blanked, and two very nice seeming women ran down to the lot toward us carrying large red plastic medical boxes. "Are you shot?" "No." "Cut?" "No." "Have you been drinking alcohol or using drugs?" "No." "Are you on any medications?" "No." "Allergies?" "Novocaine." "Is the blood on your body from a single source?" Yes." "Do you know the name of the person?" "Cheryl Anway." "Did you know Cheryl Anway?" Yes, of course I did. Why do you need to know that?" "If we know the relationship, then we can more precisely evaluate you for stress or shock." That makes sense. I felt more logical than I had any right to be. "Then, did you know Cheryl Anway?" "She's my girlfriend," right? She's his wife, but he says she's my girlfriend. My use of the present tense flipped a switch. The women looked at the RCMP officers who said, "He was sleeping on the hood." I wasn't asleep. They looked at me. I don't know what I was doing, but it wasn't sleep. One of the women asked, "Is this Cheryl's car?" "Yeah." I stood up. The fire alarms were still clanging, and the concert-like sensation of thousands of people nearby was distinct. The other female medic said, "We can give you something to calm you down." "Yes, please." Alcohol chilled a patch of skin on my left shoulder, and I felt the needle go in. Like anyone, I've seen those movies about Army barracks life where evil drill sergeants with cobra venom for spinal fluid sentence privates to 6 years of latrine duty for an improperly folded bedsheet corner. But unlike most people, I have to leave the theater or switch the channel because it reminds me of my life as a child. You're nothing. You hear me? Nothing. You're not even visible to God. You're not even visible to the devil. You are zero. Here's another thought from the mind and mouth of Reg. So those are things his father would say to him. His father's name is Reg. "You are a wretch. You are a monster, and you are weak, and you will be passed over in the great accounting." As can be clearly seen, my father's primary tactic was to nullify my existence, to show that I didn't exist at all. Maybe today's blank banking adventure with zero stems from that. Kent, however, was never nothing. At the very least, he was always expected to join my father's insurance firm after college, which he did, get married to a suitable girl, which he did, and lead a proud and righteous life, which he did until exactly 1 year ago, when a teenager in a Toyota Celica turned him into a human casserole up by the exit 5 off ramp near Caulfield. I miss Kent, but God, I wish he and I had been genuinely close as opposed to, don't they look nice together in the airbrushed family portrait? Close. He was always so bloody organized, and his efforts at all activities always made my own efforts pale. Kent was also righteous. He was sent home from school in sixth grade for speaking up against Easter egg hunts. Pagan, trivializes God, symbols of fertility that secretly promote lust. Granted, lust is purely theoretical in grade six, but he knew how to spin things the alive way. He was a born politician. Dad left scorch marks behind him as he jetted off to the school's offices that pre-Easter afternoon, of course to take Kent's side. Through bullying and threat of litigation, that means suing, he was an imposing hawk-like man. He was able to get Easter egg making banned in Kent's classroom. The school caved simply because they wanted a demented nutcase out of their way. That night at dinner, there was extra praying, and Kent and Dad discussed Easter egg paganism in detail, way too far over my head. As for my mother, she might as well have been watching the blue-white snows of Channel 1. Now, this is at a time when TV used to go off the air. It'd be midnight, and they'd play the national anthem, and a flag would wave, and then the TV would go off. And the only thing on the TV between midnight and maybe 5 or 6 a.m. the next morning was all fuzzy, nothing on the screen, just in that sound. That's called TV snow. Um, and the side why back in the 80s when they made the Poltergeist movies, the TV was off. You know, it was past the time when they showed shows, and the little girl Drew Barrymore stares into the TV snow, and the TV's going, and she sees the ghosts, the poltergeist. She goes, "They're here," or "They're back." And when they decided to redo Poltergeist a few years ago, that's probably more than a few years ago. I'm old. I think a few years ago was 5 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was. I thought, how are kids going to understand? Because the TV never goes off. It's 24 hours, every channel. And then, yeah, I thought maybe if you have satellite TV and the weather knocks it out, or the cable, or the weather knocks out the cable, the wind or something, you get the perhaps I don't know. But anyway, so his mom drinks, right, a lot because she has to deal with how awful Reg is, and so she just blanks out. All right, here's another thought. This one about Reg. When I was maybe 12, I got caught plundering the neighbor's raspberry patch. I mean, he took a few raspberries from the neighbor's vines. Raspberry vines, yeah. Talk about sin. For the weeks that followed, my father pointedly pretended I didn't exist. He'd bump into me in the hallway and say nothing, as if I were a chair. Kent the politician always stayed utterly neutral during this sort of conflict. The bonus of being invisible was that if I didn't exist, I also couldn't be punished. This played itself out mostly at the dinner table. My mother, on her sixth glass of Riesling from the spigot of a 2-liter plastic-lined cardboard box, would ask how my woodwork assignment was going. I'd reply something like, reasonably well, but you know what? What? There's this rumor going around the school right now. Really? Yeah, word has it that God smokes cigarettes. Jason, please don't. Also, and this is so weird, God drinks and he uses drugs. I mean, he invented the things, but the funny thing is, he's exactly the same drunk as sober. Mom recognized the pattern. Jason, let it rest. Ken sat there waiting for the crunch. Taunting my father was possibly the one time where I became vocal. Here's another example. It turns out God hates every piece of music written after the year 1901. The thing that really got to Dad was when I dragged God into the modern world. I hear God approves of various brands of cola competing in the marketplace for sales dominance. Silence. I hear that God has a really bad haircut. Silence. During flu season and the week of my annual flu shot, I hear that God allows purposely killed germs to circulate in his blood system to fend off living germs. Silence. I hear that if God were to drive a car, he'd drive a 1973 Ford LTT Broom sedan with claret-colored vinyl roof with leather upholstery and an opera window. Would the thief please pass the margarine? I existed again. Back to the memorial service. It's midnight and Kent's memorial is over. Did I make it there? Yes, and I managed to pull my act together and wore a halfway respectable suit, which I cologned in submission. But first I packed Joyce in the truck and we drove to fetch Mom from her little condo at the foot of Lonsdale, a mock Tudor space module built a few years ago, equipped with a soaker tub, optical fiber connections to the outer world, and a fake wishing well in the courtyard area. Everyone else in the complex has kids. Once they learn that Mom is indifferent to kids and babysitting and that maybe she drinks too much, they shunned her. When I got there, she was watching Entertainment Tonight while a single portion can of Campbell's low sodium soup caramelized Wow, how bad was that? Like I've never read this book before. You know, 21 years at Aquinas and doing it at least, twice a year. I don't know. Okay, let me try this again. Maybe only 15 years of teaching Hey Nostradamus, but I think I've never seen it before. Okay, ready? Um, Jim Shook reading Hey Nostradamus. Take two. When I got there, she was watching Entertainment Tonight while a single portion can of Campbell's low sodium soup caramelized on the left rear element. I sent it hissing into the sink. Hey, Mom. Jason. I sat down while Mom gave Joyce a nice rub. She said, I don't think I can make it tonight, dear. That's okay. I'll let you know how it goes. It's a beautiful evening, warm. It is. She looked out the sliding doors. I might go sit on the patio, catch the last bit of sun. I'll come join you. No, you go. Joyce can stay with you tonight. Mom and Joyce perked up at this. Joyce loves doing mom duty. Being a CNI dog is in her DNA. And in the end, I'm not that much of a challenge for her. Mom fully engages Joyce's need to be needed, and I let them be. It was a warm August, the only guaranteed good weather month in Vancouver. Even after the sunset, its lights would linger well into the evening. The trees and shrubs along the roadside seemed hot and fuzzy, as if microwaved, and the roads were as clean as any in any video game. On the highway, the airborne pollen made the air look saliva syrupy, yet it felt warm sand again, like I've never read words in my life. It's been a long day. I keep saying that, but sorry, folks. Here we go. The trees and shrubs along the roadside seemed hot and fuzzy, as if microwaved, and the roads were as clean as any in a video game. On the highway, the airborne pollen made the air look saliva syrupy, yet it felt like warm sand blowing on my arm. It struck me that this was exactly the way the weather was the night Kent was killed. Exactly 1 year ago to that day. As I headed toward exit 2, it also struck me that I would have to pass exit 5 on the way to Barb's house. I rounded the corner, and there was my father, kneeling on the roadside in a wrinkled, I noticed even at 70 miles an hour, sinless black suit. My father, born of a Fraser Valley Mennonite family of daffodil farmers, who apparently weren't strict enough for him, so he forged his own religious path, marching purse-lipped through the 1970s, so lonely and screwed up, he probably nearly gave himself cancer from stress. He met my mother, who worked in a Nuffy's Donuts franchise, in the same mini mall as the insurance firm that employed him, calculating the likelihood and time of death of strangers. Mom was a suburban child from the flats of Richmond, now Vancouver's motherland of Tudor condominium units. Her shift at the donut shop overlapped Dad's by 3 hours. I know that at first she found Dad's passion and apparent clarity attractive. Mother Nature is cruel indeed. And I imagine my father found my mother a blank canvas under which he could spew his gunk. I pulled over to watch him pray. This was about as interested as I'd been in praying since 1988. I could barely see my father's white Taurus parked back from the highway on a street in the adjoining suburb beside a small stand of Scotch broom. The absence of any other car on the highway made his presence seem like that of a soul in pilgrimage. That poor, dumb bastard. He'd scarred or insulted away or betrayed all the people who otherwise ought to have been in his life. He's a lonely, bitter, prideful crank, and I really have to laugh when I consider the irony that I've become, of course, the exact same thing. Memo to Mother Nature. Thanks. Back to the shooting. From the high school's parking lot, I was driven home sitting on a tarp in the police cruiser's rear seat. No sirens. When I walked in the door off the kitchen, my mother shrieked. I could see a Kahlua bottle by the cheese grater, so I knew she was already looped. I'm sure the cops knew right away, too. Mom hadn't been watching TV or listening to the radio, so my appearance at the kitchen door, laminated with a deep maroon muck, had to have been a shock. I just wanted to get the stuff off me, so I kissed her, said I was fine, and allowed the cops to bring her up to date. In the slipstream of the sedative injection I'd been given back in the parking lot, I felt clear-minded and calm, far too calm. As I was changing out of my bloodied clothes, what passed in my mind was, of all things, curiosity as to how my mother filled her days. I had no idea. She had no job and was stranded amid the mountainside suburban Japanese weeping maples and mossy roofs. Greater minds have gone mad from the level of boredom she endured. By the time I was 17, her once communicative Reg conversed solely with God. Wow, wait, hang on. Solely with a God so demanding that of all the people on earth, only he and possibly Kent had any chance of making heaven. Just a few years ago, my mother said to me during a lunch, Just imagine how it must feel to know that your family won't be going to heaven with you. I mean, truly believing that. We're ghosts to him. We might as well be dead. As I disrobed from the shower, for the shower, flecks of blood flittered under the bathroom's gold linoleum. I bundled up my clothes and tossed them out the window under the back patio, where I learned later raccoons pilfered them in the night. I showered and my thoughts were almost totally focused on how cool and sensible the medic's injection had made me. I could have piloted and landed a 747 on that stuff. And with a newly minted junkie's bloodless logic, I was already trying to figure out how soon I could locate more, and at least I had something else to focus on besides Cheryl's death. When I walked back into the living room, the TV was on. Mom was transfixed, and the RCMP officers were on walkie-talkies, the phone, you name it. Mom grabbed my hand and wouldn't let me go, and I saw for the first time the helicopter and news service images that trail me to this day, images I've yet to fully digest. My mother's grip was so hard that I noticed my fingers turning white. I still wonder how things might have gone without that delicious injection. We need to ask your son some questions, ma'am. Reg walked in from the carport door just then. Son, I'm okay, Dad. He looked at me, and his face seemed, for reasons that will become evident soon enough, annoyed. Well then, good. Mrs. Elliott at the school said you've been taken away unhurt. An officer said, we have to question your son, sir. Mom wailed. Cheryl's dead. Why do you need to question Jason? Procedure, sir. Jason, why are they questioning you? You tell me. Mom said, didn't you hear me? Dad ignored Mom and by extension, Cheryl. What does my son have to do with any of this? He was right there in the cafeteria, said one cop. If he hadn't thrown that rock, who knows how many more fatalities there might have been. Rock? Yes, your son's quick thinking. The other cop cut in. That boulder killed the main gunman. Gunman? He was 15, tops. Dad turned to me. You killed a boy today? A cop said, he's a hero, sir. Jason, did you kill a boy today? Uh-huh. Did you intend to kill him? Yeah, I did. Would you rather have had him shoot me? That's not what I asked you. I asked if you intended to kill him. Mr. Clausen, the first cop said, perhaps you don't understand. Your son's actions saved the lives of dozens of students. Reg looked at him. What I understand is that my son experienced murder in his heart and chose not to rise above that impulse. I understand that my son is a murderer. While he was saying this, the TV screen was displaying the death and injury statistics. The cops didn't know how to respond to Reg's, my father's, alien logic. I looked over at my mother, who was by no means a slight woman. I saw her grab one of a pair of massive lava rock lamps, shockingly ugly and astoundingly heavy. Mom picked up the lamp by its taper top and with all her force whapped it sidelong into Reg's right kneecap, shattered it into 29 fragments that required a marathon 18-hour surgery and 7 titanium pins to rectify. And here's the good part. The dumb bastard had to wait 2 days for his operation because all the orthopedic surgeons were busy fixing massacre victims. My mom, bless her, kicked into full operatic mode. Crawl to your God, you arrogant bastard! See if your God doesn't look at the slime trail you leave behind you and throw you to the buzzards. You heartless, sad little man. You don't even have a soul. You killed it years ago. I want you to die. You got that? I want you to die. An ambulance was summoned to squire my screaming father to emergency. The police never officially reported the incident, nor did Reg. But in that one little window of time, many lasting decisions were made. First, any love for my father that might have remained either in my mother's heart or my own vaporized. Second, we knew for sure that Dad was unfixably nuts. Third, upon discharge a few weeks later, he was coolly shipped off to his sister's daffodil ranch in the most extreme eastern agricultural reaches of the city in Agassiz, a soggy and spooky chunk of property surrounded by straggly elders, blackberry brambles, dense firs, pit bulls, Hell's Angels drug labs, and an untold number of bodies buried in unmarked graves. But my parents never got divorced. Dad always paid support and who knows what ever really goes inside a relationship. Dad probably felt guilty for wrecking Mom's life. No, that would imply feeling on his part. All right, we'll stop there, page 79, folks. And that's the end of day 7. But man, how crazy is that, right? So they bring Jason home from the shooting, and the cop's like, your son's a hero, sir. He killed the gunman, or the gunman would have killed lots more students. And Reg's response is, no, my son is a murderer. And then his mom takes up that big lava lamp. You know, the lava lamps are those lamps that the um, colored gels inside goes bloop, 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 bloop. If you haven't, don't know what I'm talking about, look up a lava lamp. But it's a lava lamp. She picks up his heavy lava lamp and just wham hits him in the kneecap, and just goes off on him. That's great. Okay, craziness here in Hey Nostradamus. We'll pick back up next time for day 8 on page 79. Hope you're all doing well. As always, stay healthy, stay happy, take care of yourselves in this crazy time. And I miss you, love you. Maybe we'll see each other again before this senior year is over. Okay, bye all.